Close your fist right now. That simple movement, the coordination, the grip strength, the speed of the signal from your brain to your fingers, peaked sometime in your mid-20s. And if you're past that age, it has already begun its slow and imperceptible decline. Not because you're sick, not because you're doing anything wrong, because aging isn't something that happens to you eventually. It's something that started years ago quietly, at the cellular level, while you were completely unaware of it. And the moment it began is much earlier than anyone tells you. The question isn't when you start to look older. The question is when your biology starts to change. And the answer will fundamentally shift how you think about every decade of your life. Let's go inside. Your body is made of approximately 37 trillion cells. Each one has a built-in clock, not a metaphorical clock, a literal biological structure that counts down with every cell division. It's called a telomere, and understanding what it does is the key to understanding everything that follows. Every time a cell divides, to repair tissue, to replace old cells, to keep you functioning, the telomeres at the end of each chromosome get slightly shorter. Think of them like the plastic tips at the end of a shoelace. Every division clips a tiny piece off the end. The cell can divide a finite number of times, roughly 50 to 70 divisions, before the telomere becomes critically short and the cell can no longer replicate safely. When that happens, the cell does one of three things. 1. It dies. 2. It becomes what scientists call senescent, a zombie cell that stops dividing but refuses to die, releasing inflammatory signals that damage surrounding tissue. 3. In rare cases, it loses control entirely and begins dividing without limit, which is the origin of cancer. This process begins at conception. You were born with telomeres already slightly shorter than they were at the moment of fertilization. And from the moment of your first breath, every cell division clips them further. But here is the number that changes everything. Research published in journals tracking thousands of individuals across decades shows that measurable biological aging, the kind that shows up in your cells, your cardiovascular system, your cognitive processing speed, accelerates significantly at 3 specific points in your life. The first acceleration happens at 34, not 40, not 50, 34. At around age 34, the rate at which your body's maintenance systems, DNA repair enzymes, antioxidant defenses, cellular cleanup processes that keep pace with damage begins to slow. The gap between damage occurring and damage being repaired begins to widen for the first time. Your cells have been winning the repair race since birth. At 34, the race starts to tip. You won't feel it. You won't see it. But at the molecular level, the equation is shifting. The second acceleration happens at 60. At 60, the decline in multiple biological systems becomes simultaneous rather than gradual. Immune function, cardiovascular efficiency, muscle fiber density, bone density, hormonal regulation. Multiple systems begin declining at measurably faster rates at the same time. And this is why 60 often feels like a threshold even to people who felt completely fine at 59. The third acceleration happens at 78. At 78, the pace accelerates again in ways that are currently the subject of intense scientific research. The compounding of decades of cellular senescence, accumulated DNA damage, and declining repair capacity reaches a new threshold. But here is what makes this genuinely important, rather than simply frightening. The 34-year acceleration is almost entirely within your influence. The gap between damage and repair that begins widening at 34 is not fixed. It is a biological tendency, not a biological destiny. And the inputs that determine how wide that gap becomes are things you control every single day. Sleep is the most powerful anti-aging intervention currently known to science. Not exercise, not diet. Sleep. And during deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, a biological cleaning network that flushes the metabolic waste products that accumulate in neural tissue during waking hours. The amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease are cleared primarily during deep sleep. One night of poor sleep measurably accelerates cellular aging markers. Consistent poor sleep across years dramatically shortens telomere length. Exercise is the second most powerful intervention, not because it burns calories, but because it directly activates an enzyme called telomerase, the only known biological mechanism for rebuilding telomere length. Consistent aerobic exercise has been shown in multiple studies to reverse biological age markers by up to 10 years in previously sedentary individuals. Your cells can get biologically younger. That is not a metaphor. That is measurable in blood tests. Chronic stress is the most underestimated accelerant. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, directly damages telomeres. A landmark study measuring telomere length in mothers of chronically ill children found their cells were biologically up to 10 years older than those of mothers of healthy children. The stress response that evolved to help you survive short-term threats is actively aging you when it runs chronically in the background of modern life. And food, not as a list of superfoods, but as a signal. Every meal sends a hormonal signal to your cells. Chronic blood sugar spikes from ultra-processed food activate inflammatory pathways that accelerate cellular senescence. The Mediterranean diet doesn't extend life because it contains magic ingredients. It extends life because it keeps inflammatory signaling low across decades. Here is the thing nobody tells you about aging. The biological age of your cells and the chronological age on your passport are not the same number. They can diverge by up to 20 years in either direction depending on how you have lived. A 50-year-old who has slept well, exercised consistently, managed stress, and eaten food that keeps inflammation low can have cells that are biologically 35. A 35-year-old who has done the opposite can have cells that are biologically 50. You are not your age. You are the sum of what your cells have experienced. The 34-year threshold is not a cliff. It is a notification. Your biology is telling you that the maintenance budget is tightening and every investment you make from this point forward has a higher return than it did at 25. And the question was never when aging starts. The question is what you do when you find out it already has. If this changed how you think about your body, share it with one person, because whoever you're thinking of right now deserves to know this too. Thanks for watching.